Dirt. The Dirt.
The Dirt.
The Dirt.
Yeah. Oh, Mr. Finger.
Yeah. The Dirt. What's it all about then? It was good, wasn't it?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
As a Motley Crue fan.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You don't look that one.
No?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all right.
Yeah.
It was fine. It was fine. I mean, I read the book like 15 years ago, something like that, whenever it came out. And they, you know, I expected more hijinks. I remember the book being like one caper after another.
Hijinks?
Yeah, they were just going wild, like doing one thing after another. But this was like you pointed out, it had to be more of a journey, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it.
You did?
Well, yeah, I feel like I've come out the other side slightly different.
Really?
Slightly different.
In what way?
Just slightly. Not sure. I'm not so much into the synthwave stuff anymore and all electronic. More, just still changed.
Okay.
It's all changed.
Yeah, it's worth checking it out.
Yeah.
I feel like more in touch with my younger self, I must admit.
Yeah, you look younger tonight. You look younger. So, So the main premise of the film is following the group on their wild antics, taking cocaine, drinking. Basically, that's what the whole film is.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably what their whole...
And it's funny. It's funny. It's quite funny at times. There's a lot of sex. There's a lot of rock and roll. And there's 10 times as much drugs.
Yeah.
And I think it's at points, I think I'm thinking to myself, if you're taking that much drugs, where's the hangover? Where is the hangover in the morning?
They had that one scene with Tommy Lee, which I think was probably the best scene.
Yeah, and I think that was about when I said, "Where's the hangover?" And the hangover came.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But it was only when he started taking heroin, he felt that hangover.
Right.
Which is, I don't know.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun, man. Like it pretty much summed them up. I mean, they were a nasty bunch, weren't they? And I think they depicted Vince Neil as nicer than he was depicted.
He's a bit of a family man, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's the kind of. I don't know. I think that whole thing with after he killed Razzle from Hanoi Rocks, that maybe they sort of tried to soften him somewhat because he only got 30 days in prison. So
that's an interesting story, though, isn't it? This guy was named Razzle Rocks.
Razzle from Hanoi Rocks, the band, the Finnish band Hanoi Rocks.
So there's as much I know about this. Nothing at all. Phil knows about this band.
I know my glam rock.
He knows his glam rock. And basically, there's a guy from the Isle of Wight, where we're originally from, and he started a band in Finland. He moved to Finland.
He didn't start the band. He joined Hanoi Rocks in Finland. I don't know why he moved to Finland.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a drummer for Hanoi Rocks, and then him and Vince went out to buy some alcohol early in the morning.
Yeah.
And Vince crashed the car.
So
he was drunk.
say that's interesting, isn't it? You say early in the morning, but in the film it was late at night, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think in real life it was like 7 in the morning, like in the book. And what happened if you Google it? Yeah, it was 7 in the morning, and they were like shit faced basically, and that ended up killing him and ended up breaking up Hanoi Rocks until they reformed again around 2000. For about 10 years. Yeah, I saw him a couple of times after that.
So this guy, just for the Isle of Wight people, this guy is actually Razzle. He's actually buried on the Isle of Wight.
Yeah, according to his wiki page, he's buried in Binstead, where he lived with his adopted parents.
Right.
I've actually met Andy McCoy a few times, when I've been living in Helsinki. Who's
Andy McCoy? He's
the guitarist from Hanoi Rocks. And,
right.
He's played with some greats. He played with Iggy Pop for a while, and he's he's
session musician or is he just
I mean, he was Hanoi Rock's lead guitarist,
so he's more
but
than that. Yeah.
he's done bits and pieces with other people. But yes, I've met him a few times over the years, and oddly, first time I met him was when The Dirt came out, the book, and it was really bizarre because this is 10, 15 years ago.
Dirt, the book. The film we've just watched is based on the book.
Yeah, based on the book. And he was really pissed, man. He was telling me about it. He was crying actually. He was just saying, look, they're fucking exploiting the whole story in the book. Oh, well, now the film, and at the expense of his friend that died. And he's talked about it a few times because he knew I was from the Isle of Wight, and I've run into him over the years when I lived in Finland. Oh, he lived in my street. And we talked about it a few times. Last time I spoke to him was within the past year, and he was asking me if I would actually go to Razzle's grave and just say something for him, which was quite touching. Yeah. But yeah, God bless him, Andy McCoy. Yeah, he's around Helsinki still.
Does he still do music?
Yeah, he's doing bits and pieces. Last time I saw him, he said he'd just been on some TV show or something. But yeah, you know, he's
Does he still dress like this?
Like what?
This.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Does he?
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Does he?
Yeah.
It's one of us. It's good. For me, I think the film's good. I think it's good. I mean, we compare it to, as you did, compare it to Bohemian Rhapsody. This is the opposite.
Yeah.
This is drugs, sex, rock and roll, as we said before. I mean, that's what it was, though. Motley Crue were probably 10 times more into that kind of thing than the Queen were.
Yeah, for sure.
So I mean, it makes sense in a lot of ways.
More than most were. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think that's quite interesting because like it's like polar opposites. I think Queen were probably heavily involved with how they wanted Bohemian Rhapsody to look, and they went for a very polished version. Whereas I think Motley Crue wanted every last line of cocaine in there.
Yeah. So Motley Crue, rock and roll.
Yeah, they pride themselves on that story.
Sanitized. You know, to keep it all nice, squeaky clean. Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. Like I know a few people that are picking holes in it or whatever. Maybe I did about the Queen film as well. But yeah, you know, who gives a shit? You know, they're happy they got the film out. People are watching it. They've released a few more songs through it, and
what's their new stuff like?
It's well, they've had their better days, I'd say.
Yeah. Like a lot of these bands.
Yeah. You know, I think if this film was released when the book came out, then that it would have been even probably better, right? They were talking about stars of that time being in it, like Johnny Knoxville and things like that, and it probably was that era. Like we were talking earlier, like this whole rock and roll thing is not. It doesn't seem as impressive as it used to be, like kids these days I don't think are going to be impressed with that.
Well, that scene hasn't got the buzz. When you get a scene which has got all the buzz and people are excited for it, it's the new thing, so of course it's not going to. But
it's done and done, isn't it?
Yeah, people are attaching themselves to other things now. But I'm sure there's a resurgence of this going on somewhere. Yeah,
maybe this will do it. The book did it, that's for sure. Like when I'd actually credit The Dirt, the book, of researching that whole glam rock thing completely.
So when did the book come out?
I don't remember. I think it was about 18 years ago, maybe.
So The Dirt book, 2000, it took them 18 years.
It's turned into a film. Yeah, I think that, like I say, if it had have been released back then, it would have been huger than it is now. Yeah, I think that book single-handedly brought back glam rock for a good 10 years. Yeah, there was a lot, man. Like, again, living in Helsinki at that time, that's got a massive rock scene. And yeah, that whole thing was on fire for those years. It's after funny, that. Yeah. And here too, I suppose, but probably in... Really? Yeah, but in more condensed groups. I'm sure it was going on.
Oh, of course, yeah. That's the thing nowadays, is that there's no one scene, and there never will be again, because of the internet. The internet gives you access to things. So, you don't have to listen to Top of the Pops to find the music you're into. You don't, you've got access to everything nowadays.
I got like a Motley Crue story, a little bit.
Yeah.
One of them that comes to mind, other than talking to Andy McCoy from Hanoi Rocks about them, was I was dating this girl for a while, back before I was a happily betrothed man, and I was seeing her and a couple of other people. I wasn't taking her that seriously, and then I dumped her, and I ran into her a little bit later, and she was an air stewardess at that point. So I used to frequent this bar called Lost and Found, which was just like a dive bar in Helsinki, and at the time I was going there like 5 nights a week and just drinking my ass off and just...
Sounds like you were a member of the Motley Crue.
Yeah.
Almost.
Well, yeah, but then one night I walked in there and there was a member of Motley Crue. She was sitting there with Vince Neil.
Really?
And his bodyguard. Yeah.
Little fat Vince Neil.
Yeah, so this girl that I've been seeing a few months previously and got rid of, she was just sitting there with Vince Neil in the bar, man. I was like, I just shit it. I wasn't going to go over there. Like, that he had his bodyguard with him and stuff like that. Anyway, I ran into her sometime later. She came into a bar that I was working at, and I was just like, what the fuck was that? And she was like, she was a stewardess on their flight when they were playing in Helsinki, and he took a shine to her. Right. And
not private jet. No. And she was like, yeah, she was a stewardess on their flight when they were playing in Helsinki, and he took a shine to her. Right. And she was like, yeah, she was a stewardess on their flight when they were playing in Helsinki, and he took a shine to her. And she was like, yeah, she was a stewardess on their flight when they were playing in Helsinki, and he took a shine to her. And
yeah, she claimed that, you know, they had a great time. And yeah, you know, she was saying that she'd got his number and stuff like that, and they were keeping in touch.
He's quite old at this stage.
I don't want to get him in trouble, but yeah, I mean, this is probably like 10 years ago or something. But
yeah, because he's
maybe he was on a break from his wife.
He's not looking his best anymore, though, is he? He looks like a little chubby chap.
Yeah,
with,
well,
long
you
blonde
know,
hair,
yeah,
wearing makeup.
Yeah,
terrible. Yeah.
What's wrong with a middle-aged man what's sitting around wearing makeup?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, there was that. Yeah, but that was quite a surprise.
Yeah, so obviously working as a bar manager in Helsinki, you were doing
for a long time.
Yeah, you were doing a bit of partying, weren't you? And,
a little bit. Yeah.
And what was that? Remember that time you had a bit of a rough evening?
Yeah, that
Someone
pretty much
spiking you.
That pretty much came. That pretty much brought an end to my wilder days in Helsinki. Yeah, I was. I met with a friend of mine. His name's Archie. He's in a band called Santa Cruz. I'm sure he'll be alright with me saying this, but yeah, he's actually the band's reformed in LA now, and he's actually like been posting pictures of himself with the guy that plays Nikki Sixx in the Motley Crue movie.
So there's a link there.
Yeah, but yeah, no surprise. I guess all these guys are intertwined. But anyway, yeah. So I met Archie and we went to his place, and a few other people showed up. And we were drinking and what have you, and it was like 5, 6 in the morning. And I was talking with a particular guy, this other guy that showed up from another band, and a younger guy. I shouldn't have been there, man. I'm like fucking, you know, way too old to be hanging out around with these guys. And yeah, there was just this point where I was like drinking something, and just everything just felt wrong suddenly, you know. And what I remember, I don't know if this was like how it really went down or not, was this guy said to me, he said, yeah, that'd be the meth. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And he said, yeah, the method, I'll just put it in your drink. And I panicked, and I sort of ran to the bathroom, because I was feeling like everything started shutting down, and like my heart was racing, but everything was just slowing down, and it was like in slow motion. And I ran over to Archie, and he was just...
This sounds quite scary.
Well, they were just like, well, what the fuck's wrong with it? You know, they were just like all laughing. Everybody was partying. It was like still, I don't know, 6, 7 in the morning or something. And then I just couldn't speak, and everything started shutting down, and I hit the floor, and I was sinking into the floor. And then I just started tripping, basically. Like I was seeing devils and shit, and people were saying, yeah, you're dead, man. This is it. And it was like all the people in the party had like turned into... I mean, this sounds ridiculous, you know. Of course,
still thoughts in your mind.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, of course, like when I was younger, dabbled a bit, but nothing like this. And yeah, it messed me up, man, for a long time, like actually. And yeah, I ended up...
You said it was meth.
Well, that's what I remember,
Does
but
meth
I don't
do that?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, there was a couple of joints going around or whatever, but you know,
meth.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really make sense.
I don't know what meth really does.
Yeah. But what it messed me up, man. It messed me up for days and days. Well, for like a week. I was trying to go to work.
It sounds like acid or something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't like that. It was like the next day, I was just questioning if I was even.
I mean, people who do meth don't.
Yeah, but when you don't know it's coming. You know, it wasn't like I actively took it. It was like all of a sudden it just like fucking blindsided me, and then all of a sudden I was questioning reality basically, and I was doing that for days. I was going to work thinking, am I still on the floor in the party or what? It was It was messed up, man. Yeah, it was horrible,
spaced out.
And it just kind of screwed me up for a long time. And I basically didn't drink or do anything for a year after that.
I remember you telling me about it.
Yeah, it was nice. I was like, to look at me, I probably would have been fine, but I was going through all sorts of weird shit in my head.
I think that's the thing with anything like that. You know, any mind changing drug.
Yeah.
For you think everyone's looking at you in a strange way.
Yeah, I mean, I was just having my own internal issues basically, and I was just trying to quietly get on with it without causing too much of a fuss. But at the same time, I was telling everybody that would listen what was going on. I don't know. Yeah, you remember, man? I was fucking wrecked.
Crazy times.
But here we are again, having a second wind, or I am.
Yeah. No, it's good. But yeah, I think we've enjoyed that film. I think it's brought up things from our past that we didn't want to share. We've had to share, or Phil's had to share.
What were we saying?
Saying that this is the way things are going to go from now on. We're going to be dressed like this.
Yeah.
So if you don't like it, fuck off.
I can't. I'm having problems with my fingers today, man.
Because you've got nail varnish.
That's it. Every time I do something, it distracts me. I don't know if I'm sticking my finger up or if I'm going like that. Yeah. Glam rock, man. I think we should do that. You should talk to Dream Show about it. Maybe that's the way to go.
It's possible. It's possible.
Combine it.
Synth glam.
Synth glam. I like it. Yeah.
Glam wave. Glam wave. Got a glam wave going on now.
Yeah.
That's enough of that.
Glam wave of myself.
Okay, so this is the end of this episode, and all we want to say is thank you.
And follow us on Instagram.
Yeah. ZeroLink podcast and our new collaboration.
Neon and Above.
Neon and Above.
We are Neon and Above.
Neon and Above.
All right, man.
Cool.
Rock and roll.
We're out.
A little bit. I got it.
You got it.